We begin with an exclusive interview with the chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Jason Owens. It's his first sit-down interview in English as chief, and it comes as the future of Texas's controversial immigration law, also known as SB4, is in the hands of a federal appeals court. Yesterday, a three-judge panel heard arguments from Governor Greg Abbott and the Biden administration. If enacted, the law would allow Texas officials to jail and prosecute migrants suspected of entering the country illegally. Meantime, there continue to be calls for action on the federal level after a bipartisan border deal failed to gain traction in Congress earlier this year. Joining us now is our immigration reporter, Camilo Montoya-Galvez, who sat down with the Border Patrol chief here in Washington. And Camilo, let's just start off with what he thinks is needed at the border.
Sure, Nicole. Nice to be with you. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens is in charge of the federal agency on the front lines of this humanitarian crisis along the U.S.-Mexico border. Over the past 3 years, his agency has recorded unprecedented levels of migrant apprehensions along the U.S.-Mexico border, including over 2 million in fiscal year 2023. I asked him what he needs the most to deal with this crisis. This is what he told us. Do you need policy changes to address this crisis at the border?
I think we need to take a look at the asylum laws and make it where only people that have a legitimate claim can claim asylum. I think that we need to be able to enforce the immigration laws that are on the books and hold people accountable whenever they choose to break the laws. I think that
You're talking about tougher policies.
yes, simply to deter the desire to come across at a point other than the port of entry. If there's no motivation to do it the right way, and the right way is causing people to have to wait a little bit longer, well, naturally they're going to choose to come between the ports of entry. We need to take that off the table and make sure everybody's coming through the front door, through the port of entry, and that allows us to get back out to the business of securing the border.
And he also talked about the SB4 immigration law, which is the state measure in Texas that would allow local officials in Texas to arrest and prosecute migrants on criminal trespassing charges and also illegal entry charges. Right now, the Supreme Court initially allowed the law to take effect, but then an appeals court put it on hold again. We asked Chief Owens about this law, and he struck a slightly different tone than what the Biden administration has said about this measure. The administration has said that it will throw the immigration system into chaos, but let's listen to what he had to say. The state of Texas right now is asking federal courts to allow it to enforce a law known as SB4. I'm sure you're familiar with it, which would allow the state to arrest migrants on criminal charges and to order them to go back to Mexico. Would that law make the situation worse or better?
So we'll have to see what the courts decide on it, right? I will tell you, it's not going to stop us from doing our job. I'll tell you that, especially in Texas, there's no better partner for the Border Patrol than the Texas Department of Public Safety. We have worked hand in hand with that agency for as long as I've been around, and I don't see that ever stopping. They have always been very good at complementing our mission. They back us up when we're out in the field, and we do for them as well. So whatever the laws are that they're going to be enforcing, our mission remains constant, their mission remains constant, and at the ground level, I don't see it ever changing where we're going to be there to work together to make sure that we keep the communities and our country safe.
So unlike what the Department of Homeland Security said about SB4, Chief Owens is actually praising the state of Texas for the work that it has done to secure the border.
But did he explain that difference?
No, he did not. He did not get into the nuance of that, but he did say that Texas officials are helping his agency, Border Patrol, deal with this unprecedented influx of people coming to the border.
And I know you also talked to him about some of these tougher policies. What else did he share with you in your conversation?
Well, Chief Owens actually named specific policies that he says need to be implemented to deter people from coming into the U.S. because he says right now people are getting the message that they can stay here indefinitely while their asylum claims are adjudicated, even though some of them may not have actual valid claims to stay here legally. This is what he said. What do you need the most to deter people from crossing the Rio Grande illegally or the desert in Arizona and California illegally?
So everything revolves around being able to deliver a consequence for an action that you don't want a person to commit. So you don't speed because you're afraid of getting pulled over and getting a fine, a ticket. If people know that there's going to be a consequence for breaking the law, they're going to be less likely to do it. The other piece of that is you need the agents out on patrol to be able to enforce that consequence. Those two things together at a basic level are what makes up our border security apparatus. The other things are force multipliers for those agents that help them stay safe and help them do their job better. I'm talking about technology. I'm talking about infrastructure to be able to respond along the border. I'm talking about the right equipment, the training that they need to be safe. All of those things come into play to make those agents out on patrol better at stopping that activity and being able to deliver the consequences when somebody does.
And when you say consequences, you mean
jail time.
Deportations, jail time?
I'm talking about jail time. I'm talking about being removed from the country, and I'm talking about being banned from being able to come back because you chose to come in the illegal way instead of the established lawful pathways that we set for you.
And are you pushing for that? For more people to be detained, for more people to be removed?
Yes. If they choose to come in illegally, they have broken the laws and there has to be a consequence. Not because we don't want people to be able to come into the country, far from it, but because we want them to be able to come into the country safely. We want them to be out of the hands of the smugglers. We don't want money from that activity going into the pockets of the smugglers, and we certainly don't want the cartels to be able to exploit that situation that pulled our men and women off of the border security mission.
It's important to underscore, Nicole, that in addition to calling for policy changes at the federal level, Chief Owens is calling for more resources and agents, and obviously only Congress can allocate the money needed for that. But as you know, Congress has been desperately gridlocked on this issue of immigration for decades, and right now there's this spending fight in Congress, as you very well know, over how much money the Department of Homeland Security, which includes Border Patrol, should get. So it is an open question as to whether or not he is going to get the money that he says he needs.
Yeah, I was going to say from that standpoint, I mean, does he feel like his hands are tied?
Yes, in that respect, yes, but he's saying that at the end of the day, he cannot concentrate and focus on the bickering in Washington, which has been longstanding. As you know, he has to patrol the border and now take on this really dire humanitarian mission because for the most part, many of these migrants are seeking asylum. They're not trying to evade detection, unlike previous times in American history. That takes more time, takes more resources, and Congress so far has not approved any additional resources and money.
All right, Camilo Montoya-Galvez with that exclusive sit down. Thank you,
Thank you, Nicole.
so much.